Hi everyone, today I'm going to be showing you how to make some really easy and delicious garlic honey. This is a really good concoction that you can keep in your pantry, and it's a good way to preserve garlic because it is shelf stable and you don't have to refrigerate it. It's also very healthy because both garlic and honey have their own health benefits, and it's great to use in many different dishes. We love to drizzle it on top of pizza. It also makes a good base for salad dressings or drizzled on chicken wings or barbecue. To start off with, we have 6 heads of garlic here. The number of heads you have doesn't matter at all. You can scale this batch up or down as needed for whatever garlic you have on hand. We are using 6 heads of our chestnut red garlic, which we harvested a couple of weeks ago. And this is a hardneck variety of garlic that doesn't store super well. It only keeps for a couple of months. So that's why we wanted to go ahead and preserve some of it for more long-term storage. And this garlic honey is a super long-term solution to preserve your garlic if you have a big harvest. The honey helps the garlic to keep basically forever. I mean, really, it can keep at least 6 months, but I've read that some people can keep theirs for even over a year. The garlic slowly ferments in the honey as well. So just like with other fermented foods, it is stable at room temperature. And if you're new to fermented foods, which is kind of an intimidating topic, this is one of the easiest things to get into because you do have that honey that acts as a preservative in addition to the fermentation process that's going on. So it's pretty fail-proof. So I've gone ahead and separated all of the cloves of garlic from the heads. This garlic is still pretty fresh at this point. It hasn't completely dried out to form those papery skins. Here's a side-by-side comparison of a more fresh garlic clove on the left and a drier one on the right that's more papery and developed more of that red color. Either one will work fine. The fresher your garlic, the more moisture content it has, and that will play in a little bit to the fermentation process, which I'll go over a little more later. So once we have them separated out, we're going to need to peel all of this garlic. I'm giving these a light crush with my knife and then taking those skins off. A lot of people like to make this garlic honey by keeping their cloves whole, but I'm going to be slicing up my garlic and coarsely chopping it today. It's totally up to you. If you want to leave them whole, then you'll just have to peel them without crushing the cloves, which I think is a little tedious. I've also heard that if your skins are completely dry, you can put all of your cloves into a jar and shake it up and the skins will rub off. So you can try that if your garlic is a little drier than mine is. Once I have them all peeled, I'm just going to give them a rough slice, nothing too fine, but just to break them up a little bit, and I'm going to place them in a clean mason jar. Anytime you're dealing with fermented foods, you want to have as clean of a vessel as possible because you don't want to introduce any bacteria in there. You just want that good natural bacteria from the fermentation process. From my 6 heads of garlic, I ended up filling this jar about half full, and you don't want to fill your jar or whatever you're using completely full either, because when you're fermenting things, a lot of times air bubbles will get created and whatever's in the jar can expand, so you want to leave a good amount of headspace just in case any of that happens. Then after all the garlic is prepared, we have our honey, and you want to use raw honey here. You really don't want to use a fake honey that is just basically sugar syrup. You want a real raw unfiltered honey, and we also like to look for local honey if we can, because local honey comes from flowers that are local to your area, and this can help with any allergies that you have. So when possible, we like to look for local honey. And basically you just have to pour the honey over the garlic and make sure that your garlic is covered in honey. You might have to go in there with some kind of utensil to move everything around and make sure the honey drips all the way down, and then add more honey if you need to. And really that's all there is to it. You just have these 2 ingredients. As this mixture sits, the garlic is going to mellow out, the honey is going to be infused with the garlic flavor, and you end up with this really delicious, sweet, spicy, garlicky kind of liquid that you can use in lots of different recipes. As this mixture sits, it's also going to get a lot runnier. The garlic is going to release some of its natural moisture and liquids, Like I mentioned, we are using our fresher garlic here, which hasn't cured yet and has a higher water content, so ours is going to be pretty liquidy. Some people have to add a teaspoon or so of water if by day 1 or 2 it's not releasing enough liquid. So just know that you might have to check in on this and add that later on. A lot of people also use this as a sort of tonic if you're not feeling well, because both the garlic and honey have really good properties to help you if you have a sore throat or you're feeling sick. So you can just take a spoonful of this. If you leave your garlic whole, you can just go in and eat one of those whole cloves of garlic. And of course, you're also getting all of that natural bacteria from the fermentation process, which is so good for your gut. Once our garlic is covered in honey, we're just going to place a lid on this. We're using a plastic lid. Just make sure you don't use a metal lid, because when you're fermenting things, the metal can interfere with the fermentation process. And we're also going to put a label on top just to note the date that we started this. It'll take a couple of weeks to a month before the final product is ready to use, depending on whether you slice your garlic or keep it whole, and also depending on how much water content your garlic has. And here's a quick look at the texture of this right now. It's very thick, but after a few hours or a day when you check back in on it, the mixture will start to get a lot runnier. So here is what ours looks like the next day. You can already tell that it's very liquidy. You can also see some air bubbles starting to come up at the top, and that's from that natural fermentation process. You want to make sure you burp your jar, so just open it up just to let the excess gases that are forming out so that the pressure doesn't build up too much in the jar. And you basically just want to check in on this every day or so for a week. And once you see that it's not starting to form any more bubbles, the fermentation process is done. And the longer you let this sit, the more mellow that garlic will be. I think a week is a pretty good minimum for you to start using it. If you're using whole garlic, you might want to wait up to a month. And from there, you can drizzle it onto pizza, coat it on chicken wings, rub it on some barbecue, and you can just keep this in your pantry for as long as it lasts. So this is a really great way to preserve your garlic, or just to have a really fun condiment that can dress up your meals. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again in the next video.